Hi, boys and girls. We're going to start part three of the one and only Bob today. The first chapter I'm going to read you is called Looking. Ivan used to ask me what I did when I wasn't hanging out at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. I wasn't like the rest of the animals, caged, trapped. I told him I was scrounging for food, and he never questioned it. When you think about it, though, where's a better place to find food than on the floor of a mall at the end of the day? Yeah, I wasn't looking for food. I was looking for her, for Boss. What if? At first, I didn't admit it to myself. You know how it is when you wish for something so bad you're afraid to say it out loud because what if it never happens? It was like that. I knew the odds were crazy long. I knew it was nuts. And yet, I went out day after day searching for her. 6. There had been 6 of us in the litter, so why was I only looking for her? Well, because it was her bark that I'd heard after the box landed, even after the truck roared past. I heard it, a whimper, bark, howl cry, something I've never heard since. She survived, at least at first. I survived. The rest of them didn't. Relieved. And what did I do when I heard that bark? Did I run toward it? Did I try to save her? No. No. I was just a few weeks old, helpless, useless. The cries stopped almost as soon as they started, and you know what? Part of me was relieved. I didn't want to have to go back onto the highway. I couldn't bear wanting to rescue her and not knowing how. I didn't want to see her die, but mostly I was afraid. Coward. I was afraid. A coward. There's a certain freedom that comes with owning your faults. The wind. Every day I went looking for Boss, up and down that same barren stretch of highway. Sometimes I'd catch a hint of something hopeful in the air and think it was my sister's scent. I'd be certain the breeze had brought me her voice like an invisible gift. The wind can really mess with your head. Enough. After a while, I stopped going to the highway. I stopped looking. It was a relief to give up. I had enough to worry about. My paddles. As I run from the park, I kept hearing my sister's yelp in my head. Still, with every step, my doubts grew. Sometimes we hear what we want to hear. The animal shelter is close, just down the street, but there's nothing quick about the trip. Water washes past like a raging river. The sun's been swallowed by black clouds. I pick my way through muddy front yards, avoiding the worst of the water. I ain't much of a swimmer. Doesn't come up much in my line of work, although I do a passable dog paddle. The problem is my paddles. My paws, they're tiny. Not much to work with when you're fighting a flood. I see a couple of humans with flashlights carving tunnels in the sheeting rain, but mostly the streets seem eerily abandoned, especially after the chaos of the park. The shelter is at the bottom of a slight hill. Rain's pooled outside the front door, despite a pile of sodden sandbags. A police officer is out in front, parked at an odd angle. I find some footing on a large rock near the door. Takes me 3 slippery tries, but I manage to leap onto the topmost sandbag. I bark with all I've got, but I might as well be voiceless, between the wind and the rain and the howling animals begging for escape. Inside, I pause to listen. I hear humans shouting, and I can make out what sounds like a police radio chatter, but I don't hear Boss. I'm right here, right at the source, nothing. It wasn't her bark I heard. She's dead, and I'm crazy and hearing things, and we're drenched and shivering, and where is Julia? Where is George? Hey, little guy. The door eases open just a crack. Every bone in my body, every smart part of my doggy brain says, run. This is an animal shelter, a flooding one, apparently. My sister isn't here, and I still have to find George and Julia. The door moves. Swoop. A loop comes down around my neck so fast that for a moment I don't know what it is. It's like a cowboy's lasso, the kind in old Western movies I used to watch with Ivan. But this is a lasso that is the end of a long metal handle. And at the end of the long metal handle is a man. Stay calm, buddy. The man eases me gently but firmly off the sandbags and through the door. I'm inside the Bow Wow Big House, the Hound Pound, the Pet Pokey. Oops. See you in a minute for the next chapters.